Sakamotodays is easily one of the greatest new gens I've ever read, but when it comes to the characters, we all come to realize that there are too many strong characters to be going over just one. But in this video, I'm going to dedicate this to one particular person, and this is Gaku, the man who stands on business regardless of how strong you are. Before we get started, go ahead and like and subscribe. I literally hit 1K like a good 2 weeks ago, and I'm very appreciative for that. Now, this video was a cash out request, and if you want a video, all you gotta do is go to my cash app and boom. Now let's go ahead and get into how strong is Gaku. When Gaku is first introduced, he's riding a bike with Exler, aka Uzuki. He then pulls up to the entrance and then he gets stopped by a guard. The guard says that they cannot get in because they're not a member. He points a gun and says immediate elimination. Gaku one-shots him. Then he pulls up inside of the building. He one-shots 2 other members. And then X says he's going to leave everything for Gaku, meaning that Gaku could single-handedly take down the JAA. We then see that Gaku is going through floors, massacring everyone in his way, only focused on one thing, and that's going to the bathroom. This is when everyone realized he's not just some regular assassin that you could just do anything you want to him. We then see members of the JAA simultaneously shooting bullets at Gaku. We don't know if he was able to block or evade it, but all we know that he was untouched. The moment that he said stop firing, that's exactly when Gaku speed blitzed every single last one of them, showcasing his immense speed. Gaku then gives the captain a death stare before being sent through a wall by one of the elite members. We also get confirmation that Gaku took down 40 members of the JAA within 2 minutes. Gaku then shoots an attack from his metal rod, and it seems to be like a laser because we see the smoke coming from it. He then takes the mask off of the elite member before one-shotting him, sending him through a building, and on top of that landing on a car completely dead. Gaku then senses the bloodlust of a guy named Takamura. He then proceeds to attack Takamura, although Takamura casually blocked it, before immediately slicing through the entire room. Gaku takes minimum damage, however he's able to evade the fatal spot. Gaku is eventually overpowered, but then he's able to evade the final attack of Takamura, showcasing that he still has the ability to evade such a strong opponent. Sometime later, we see Gaku burst through the window and he's running from Takamura. When Takamura comes through the door, Gaku immediately attacks him, getting his arm chopped off, but then Gaku does the most insane shit ever and he kicks his arm, sending Takamura flying slightly far. They eventually retreat, and then we get an interesting statement that Gaku is the only human that was ever to survive Takamura's wrath, showcasing that Gaku is not a normal assassin, he's on a level of the top tiers. Later in the story, Gaku shows up in one of the island tests and he's in someone else's body. He starts to blitz normal assassins, and on top of that he grabs a human and starts to ravage through multiple assassins there. Someone from a distance tries to snipe Gaku, which he casually blocks with the body he's holding. He then throws the body directly at the person, somehow seeing him from that distance, before being attacked by one of the girls. He then grabs her and spins her around like a blade and tosses her through a rock. I also forgot to mention that Gaku is being delayed by 0.5 seconds, which is realistically a huge amount considering how fast Gaku moves, faster than bullets and even arguably faster than light itself. Gaku then starts to blitz both Shin and Kaiji, showcasing that he's far superior to them even while he's delayed. Kaiji is a guy that can read the range of movements of someone. This would mean that Gaku is far outspeeding someone who can even read the range of movements that he's going. It gets to the point where he blitzes Kaiji, and on top of that, Shin admits that there's no way they can beat this guy before Sakamoto comes in. Upon fighting Sakamoto, the two starts to exchange attacks, showcasing that they are somewhat relative. However, Sakamoto starts to get the upper hand. Sakamoto tosses him through a plane before going for one of the finishing blows. Gaku evades it, but then he gets sent flying. Sakamoto eventually defeats this version of Gaku, who's being limited and nerfed. In the assassination attempt of Asaki, Gaku pulls up with the rest of X-Slur's gang and he runs through a few regular assassins. He then appears behind one of the Special Force Defense Squad captains. He one-shots him. Let's not forget this same guy was able to hold down both Shin and I think his name is Mafuya. Gaku then encounters Nagamo, one of the strongest order members, and upon encountering Nagamo, the two collide, and they're showcasing that they're somewhat relative. Gaku then starts to outspeed and he sends Nagamo through a building. Wall, whatever. Gaku states that he has more strength and power than Nagamo, however, they're equal in terms of speed. This would mean that he's definitely order level in terms of fighting. The two is seemingly equal, but then Nagamo does a trick which catches Gaku off guard. In the next chapter, they're going back and forth and they seem to be fighting for a very long time. Then Nagamo states that Gaku is likely the strongest person he's ever faced. This would include younger Sakamoto, Kendaka, Yatsamura, Rion, and on top of that, every other assassins they ever fought, which includes Satoda. Nagamo changes the weapon to a scythe, then he tries to attack Gaku, which Gaku casually counters and sends Nagamo through an entire plane. Nagamo then states that his dexterity reminds him of Sakamoto back in the day. Nagamo tries to attack Gaku, but then Gaku counterattacks. But then Nagamo counterattack his counterattack. Gaku counterattack his counterattack. But then Nagamo also counterattacked his other counterattack before using a visible blade to catch Gaku off guard. Like, I don't even know what's going on at this point. Nagamo admits that if Gaku breaks all of his weapons, pretty much Nagamo is pretty cooked. He will not be able to win against Gaku. Nagamo states that with that wound, Gaku will not last long. Gaku then drops the hardest panel and he says killing is like a speed run before blitzing Nagamo, sending him through a car. He then busts through the car's rooftop and then he collides with Nagamo once again, which it goes off screen. However, Nagamo got the win. Later in the day, Gaku feels the presence of Takamura. He then pulls up on Takamura once Takamura defeats the trio. Haruma also pulls up. However, Takamura goes for an attack, which Gaku actually counterattacks Takamura and sends him flying. Uzuki also joins the fight and they start to jump Takamura. Takamura eventually starts talking and then he blitzes Haruma. When all hope seems lost, everyone's jumping Takamura. Gaku jumps up again. He grabs Takamura's blade with his mouth before slashing Takamura's eye, being the only character ever shown to damage him, excluding Uzuki. With everything said and done, we can tell that Gaku is one of the strongest characters in the entire series, and yes, he's order level at least. He only lost to Nagamo simply because he didn't know anything about his fighting style. In a rematch, I'd give it to Gaku for sure. And with that said, that's pretty much the end of the video.